Prigozhin is back, but not the one who you are thinking about. In fact, the son of Prigozhin is about to become a commander of Wagner. There are also some confirmed facts by the Western intelligence that Wagner started forcefully, most likely recruiting women and even secretly stockpiling weapons, munition and equipment. The main question: why are they doing it? The answer might be very surprising. And to make things even worse for the regime of Putin, already the Third Bakhmut is in complete failure by the Russian forces. But more about all of this in just a couple of minutes. What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. And let's get straight to the point and talk about some ridiculous Russian propaganda. So, today we have this bus in one of small Russian towns with a picture of Putin on it, and saying that we support the actions and decisions of our president and our army. And you know what, it gives me a lot of 1984 vibes whenever this big brother is watching you, because as bus starts to departure, no matter from which angle you're looking at Putin, he always looks straight into your soul. And even though the Russian authorities constantly decline that no, we are not like surveilling our citizens and we're not trying to establish total dominance over our country, what do you think is the percentage of things from this book 1984 that actually Russian authorities are actually doing? And speaking about percentages, today we have a very interesting statistics. So recently we received a lot of new viewers, so welcome all of you guys to our channel. You're more than welcome in our community. But in return, this increased the not subscribed camp to 50.1%. So as of right now, the not subscribed viewers are the majority, and it is time to change that. So, come on everybody, let's do it together. Whether you're a brand new viewer or somebody who watched a couple of videos, and I'm specifically looking at you, Kevin, William, Eddie and Chandler. So let's switch our statistics in our favor. And all you need to do is to simply subscribe to the Russian Dude channel. That's it. You can also follow me on Instagram, the weekend is here, to see how I live outside of YouTube. The link is down below. But okay, now let's talk about a brand new, unannounced and extremely useful military vehicle that Ukraine received. Then we'll switch our attention to the south of the country, where there is still a little advancement is happening. Then we'll go to the east of Ukraine and talk about Russians failing completely in the Third Bakhmut, and ultimately we'll talk about Wagner, which looks like is up to something. And so yes, the machine I'm talking about is M1150 ABV assault bridge vehicle, which is constructed on the base of Abrams tank and is used to demine the fields. And since right now one of the main priorities of Ukrainians is to clear its territory from the Russian mines, this unannounced gift is extremely useful. And speaking about the Western support, America announced another $425 million support package, which will be mainly focused on the air defense, another one of the biggest priorities for Ukraine at the moment. And this one will include additional ammunition for NASAMS and HIMARS, 3 million more cartridges and heavy load trucks to transport all this equipment. In addition to that, as you can see from this video, Ukrainians continue to use the Danish self-propelled artillery system called Caesar, and they do it quite effectively. And then right here is yet another self-propelled artillery system, this time from Sweden, called Archer. And so yes, now as promised, it is time to talk about some events from the south, where Ukrainians still advance, but don't go anywhere after this, because we have some pretty interesting things from the east as well. And first of all, as you can see from this video, Ukrainians were able to destroy one of Russian air defense systems S-300 on the left side of Kherson region, which is huge, because the fewer Russian air defenses they have, the much easier it becomes for Ukrainians to strike distant targets. Then we have a report by the Institute for the Study of War, which claims that Ukrainian missile attack was able to reach the Dnieper headquarters dislocation of the Russian forces, also on the left side of Kherson region, and most likely completely destroy it. And besides that, thanks to Ukrainian artillery, a total of 4 armored vehicles were destroyed in Kherson. But wait, there is more, because Ukrainians released another video of them targeting and destroying the advancing Russian infantry, also on the other side of Kherson. And once again, the most interesting part about this is that those Russians were advancing literally in the open field with no protection and no support whatsoever. And well, now let me give you a similar pretty quick update from the east before we can talk about Russians completely failing in the Third Bakhmut. And so, first of all, unfortunately, there has been yet another attack against Kharkiv, and this time a lot of residential and civilian buildings have been either severely damaged or even completely destroyed. And just overall, in the last 24 hours, Ukrainians were able to destroy 24 Russian Shahid drones and 1 Kh-59 missile. Majority of these attacks were targeting previously mentioned Kharkiv. Then we once again refer to the report by the Institute for the Study of War, which claims that Russians continue their advancement along Kupiansk, Svatove, Kreminna front line, and as you can see from this map, they were able to advance closer to Kupiansk part of the front line. But as you go down to Bakhmut, this is where reportedly Ukrainians are seizing the advantage and slowly but surely getting closer to this city. And at the same time, Ukrainian artillery was able to destroy a Russian counter-bait battery raider Zoopark 1 located in Pantelemonivka. But one of the most recent significant combat activity started happening around Vuhledar and Mikilsky, where Russians look like decided to reopen this front line, even though this is the place where they suffered the most losses in the beginning of the war. And so as of right now, Russians decided to reuse the very same tactics. So in some way this became for them the Third Bakhmut. The second one being Avdiivka and the third one is Vuhledar. And long story short, the entire convoy decided to attack Ukrainian positions located to the north and to the east of Mikilsky, and it was also, just like in Avdiivka, just like in Bakhmut, completely obliterated. They had to turn around without achieving any significant progress. But the key difference here with the Avdiivka is that right now they are still using armored vehicles in these advancements. Long story short, soon, most likely, we will see again just infantry running across the open fields. The full version of this completely miserable assault by Russians you can find on my Patreon, in addition to the early access to fully uncensored episodes of The Russian Dude. Please go ahead and check my Patreon. This is also the best way to support the channel, starting only as little as $4 per month, and the link will be down below. And right now, one of the main questions in my head is why Russians are using exactly the same tactics in Vuhledar and in Avdiivka, the very same one that they used in Bakhmut. But why is it this time that the results are completely different? And if you want to try and guess the answer, please pause the video and let us all know in the comments. And in my personal opinion, the answer is Wagner. The very same Wagner, which was the biggest dilemma for Putin, because on the other hand, they were completely disrespecting the Ministry of Defense of Russia, not being that loyal. But on the other hand, this was the only military unit of Russians which was achieving some kind of significant results. And for Putin, it was either he keeps them and lets them win his battles, but at the same time they disrespect him and the Ministry of Defense and challenge his authority, or Putin can simply get rid of them. He will sacrifice the progress in the war, obviously, but at least he will keep his power and authority. And as of right now, all of us, we already know which decision Putin took. And since then, there has been a lot of rumors and assumptions what will happen with Wagner in the future. And one of the most recent ones is that the son of Prigozhin, his 25-year-old boy, he will become the new commander of Wagner private military company. And then, first of all, according to the Institute for the Study of War, and then confirmed by the British intelligence report, Wagner even started, most likely, forcefully recruiting women in its ranks. Most of them were most likely, according to these reports, in kind of supportive roles along the front lines, or maybe some of them were even drone operators, or in the worst case scenario, let's call it like this, they became snipers. And obviously, Wagner will need additional munition, weapons and equipment for these new women recruits. So this is also another assumption. What they are doing right now is that Wagner secretly and rapidly, as fast as they can, stockpiling munition, weapons and equipment. Because then I have another question for you. Is it even real that Wagner started recruiting women? Or is it a disguise for them to justify collecting as many weapons as they can and doing it as fast as possible for whatever reason? I mean, I don't know, maybe like a son avenging his father. In one way or another, the Wagner saga is not yet fully over, and I do have a feeling that we might hear their final statements. So if you don't want to miss what is going to be, just please consider once again subscribing to my channel. It only takes one click. Thank you so much, Patreons, for your support, and see you on Tuesday.